I want you to watch closely because when law enforcement shows up, the same people screaming justice suddenly lose their minds. Here's raw footage the media buries.
Piece of shit, you Nazi scumbag! You Nazi scumbag! You Nazi scumbag! Fucking Nazis! Fucking Nazis! No! Hey! Give it! Give it!
Make it stop.
Nazi piece of shit. You fucking Nazis.
So this is downtown LA. Federal agents detain someone. And what's the soundtrack? Nazi from the same crowd that cheers lawbreakers. The only thing they hate more than criminals being caught is the idea of ICE doing his job. And it doesn't stop in LA. Let's head north. Same script, same hysteria.
Yeah, with all those fucking weapons, like, oh, are you afraid of a bicycle? Fucking pepper spray. Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Think of your parents! Shame on you! Get the fuck out! We can see you! Out! Back the fuck up! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Apparently, Shame on You is track number 2 of this soundtrack from these protesters. San Francisco, ICE agents trying to work, swarmed by bike mobs and self-appointed resistance leaders. Sanctuary cities promise safety, but the only ones safe are the criminals. When agents are treated like villains, lawlessness becomes policy. And this coast-to-coast meltdown is on full display in the nation's capital.
Leave him alone. He's just sitting on a bench.
There are unions that real clear in their statement. We do not like ICE. We don't want them here. We don't want you here. That's why all this neighborhood's here. We don't want you. Get out.
Shame! 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 Shame!
Chicago Bears fans should take that off.
Shame!
What's gonna happen to you when it's all over, huh?
Shame!
You know where they put Nazis like you, huh? Someday you're all gonna.
These people, man. Can't win with these people. Washington, D.C. A bench arrest becomes a block party chant of shame. But notice, they're not shaming the gangs, not the predators, never the traffickers, none of that, just the men with the badges. Democrats call that justice. I call it inversion. That's the word, not invasion, inversion. Trying to learn new words, y'all. And while mobs scream in the streets, leaders in suits, you know what they do. They're going to spin excuses.
Happening tonight, we are hearing from Chicagoans about the expected deployment of National Guard troops on the streets of Chicago and ICE agents coming to North Chicago as soon. NBC5's Courtney Sisk with a closer look at what people in our communities are saying about this.
Federal agents could soon be operating out of the Great Lakes Naval Station in North Chicago to crack down on crime and immigration. The mayor of North Chicago says he's been briefed by the commanding captain of the base.
That they will be using offices on the base. I don't know if that's National Guard or what, but they're not going to be staged on base, but they will be residing outside in the community.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, Governor J.B. Pritzker said business leaders in the city want to use violence interrupter tactics through organizations like CRED to fight crime.
And you know what President Trump did in the face of that? He cut funding for those programs from the federal government. That doesn't help us fight crime.
Mayor Brandon Johnson touts community events like Take Back the Block Friday night in the Grand Crossing neighborhood. He says it's initiatives like this that help invest in communities and drive down crime.
We're going to build the safest, most affordable big city in America, and we're going to roll past Donald Trump to make sure that we do that. We certainly don't need anybody from the outside of Chicago telling what Chicagoans need.
But some longtime residents of Grand Crossing say they'd welcome another option.
How would you describe the crime in your neighborhood?
Well, I can tell you, it is not something that I'm comfortable with. It needs to be addressed.
Gail Hunter says she hears gunshots several nights a week on her block.
As a matter of fact, sometimes you feel like, oh my God, should I get on the floor or what exactly should we do? So there are things that happen. As a matter of fact, I witnessed someone running down the street shooting somebody.
Do you think the National Guard could help drive down crime in your neighborhood?
I'm not exactly sure if it will help. I'm not sure if it won't help. I really feel like if we keep doing things the same way, nothing's going to change.
Governor Pritzker says he has had no official communication from the federal...
In other words, bring Trump. That's what she was basically saying. Chicago leaders warn about outsiders and cut crime funds, then brag about block parties solving shootings. Residents are begging for safety, and Democrats are giving them, yet again, another photo op. If that's preparation, the only thing they're preparing for is failure. And while Chicago fumbles, here's how Democrats in Washington spend their time.
A few hours ago, I left the Farm Bill Detention Center, where I had a chance to meet with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I gave him letters from his family, and you can imagine how emotional he was. He wants to keep fighting for justice. And while I can't weigh in on some of the allegations from the Trump administration, I know this. They wrongfully moved him to El Salvador. And now, in an effort to retaliate, if he doesn't plead guilty, they're threatening to send him to Uganda, where he has no ties at all. That's not the way the system works. In October, he has another hearing on due process. There should be no action taken on deportation of this individual until that due process claims are resolved. I also saw a number of the other detainees from a variety of countries, some who didn't know even why they were there. I got a commitment from the private company that runs the facility that they'll work with us on improving both some of the food and some of the health care. Lord knows, with an ICE budget now bigger than the FBI, cost should not be a reason. You know, America's a better country than this. We all need to continue to stand up and speak out.
Senator Mark Warner out here giving written letters to an MS-13 gang member accused of trafficking and known documented abuse. He fights for due process of a thug. But does he fight for the families in Virginia who buried their kids at the hands of illegals? Seriously. That silence is the loudest thing about him. And when they're not writing letters, they're rewriting reality.
They are drinking.
I left Eloy Detention Center yesterday, again, heartbroken by the conditions that the detainees are experiencing every single day. This is nothing short of a prison with the complete lack of even basic needs for detainees. Like you mentioned, I spoke with more than 24 women. One woman in particular, she has leukemia. She's been there for 5 months. She's lost 55 pounds. And She has still not been able to see a specialist for the cancer that she is dying from. She has bruises all over her body. When I say that this woman was in complete agony, talking to me and saying the only thing she wants at this point is to see a doctor who can treat her, not even trying to amend her case at this point, I am not exaggerating. It was a very heartbreaking scene. I am going to be working very hard to demand that she sees a leukemia specialist or oncologist immediately and get the treatment that she needs. Then we actually had a sign-up sheet there. We had more than 98 people sign up to speak with us. We only got to speak with about 24 of the women. They all mentioned that they don't have access to clean water, that the faucets that they're able to drink water out of are chlorinated, that they're getting rashes all over their body. They also talked about getting used underwear as part of the clothing. And so many of them are getting UTIs and infections. And then when they go to see the medic within the facility, the detention center, they're being told to drink more water. And that is the solution to that. Many of the women were crying. They didn't want to let me or my team member leave without sharing every detail of what they're going through. And I just want to be clear, these women don't have any sort of criminal records. These are all people who come to this country trying to seek asylum as refugees. There were women there from Mexico, from Cuba, from Iran, from Kazakhstan, from Russia. They had letters prepared for me, and just their main message was this is a prison. We didn't commit any crimes. They've been there from some for a few months, some for over a year, and I think that the absolute bare minimum that companies like CoreCivic, who are making billions of dollars under the Trump regime, and ICE, who's also getting billions of dollars in the new Republican budget, we should be treating people in these detention centers with basic dignity and respect, and that's not happening at this point.
Wow.
It's hard to hear. There's a lot more to talk on that. We'll have you back to do that. Nonetheless, let's move to the Jeffrey.
So, a Democrat congresswoman claims detainees haven't committed crimes. Wrong. Entering in the country illegally is a crime. Fraud is a crime. Harboring is a crime. But Democrats gaslight America into believing enforcement itself is a crime. And here's the receipt they hated the most.
Just a couple years ago, there were two gentlemen. Those two men kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Nungaray from her family. They beat her. They sexually assaulted her. They tortured her, they stripped her, they murdered her, and they dumped her body. That is what the Biden administration's policy was. Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can.
Ooh, hold on, we're going to rewind that again. Ooh, y'all hear, he just said it right to their face, savage.
Each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
Oh, my gosh. All I can hear is a organ playing in the background. That was church right there. Stephen Miller cites Jocelyn Nungaray, 12 years old, kidnapped and murdered by an illegal immigrant, or immigrants, rather. Media buried it until Trump forced coverage. That's the blueprint. Shield criminals, silence victims, bury stories. And we loop right back to, Basically where we started. Democrats side with gangs. They cheer mobs. Writing letters for criminals. And lecture you about compassion while families grieve. I want y'all to, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to drop your city in the comments and tell me what you've been really seeing. And if you're sick of politicians protecting these predators, make sure you subscribe, because we not playing defense. We telling the truth. Y'all be safe. Go check on a friend today. Quite literally be saving their life. Peace.